Five, four, oh. Route 616, your home for all things Marvel main continuity. You probably got some you probably got some weird sounds at the start of this episode because the service we use does not do a countdown properly. So, yay. We are back with episode 16. Yes, 16 weeks we've been doing this of Route 616. I'm here with Bill.
Hey.
And I am here with the Queen's childhood friend, Dan.
Hey, how you doing? Liz, we was close. I'm telling you, man.
I told Bill before Dan got in the lobby that I had a topical introduction for Dan today. So.
I wasn't expecting you to go with the fucking Queen.
I know you weren't. That's the best part. Oh, so we have quite the comics this week, don't we?
They are certainly comics.
They certainly are. Some of them, a few of the entries aren't terrible.
There's good stuff in here. Don't get me wrong. I like some of them.
Yeah, some of them are all right. We are doing 7 entries this time. We'll be doing 7 entries next week too, just because there's a 5-page story in here that we'll talk about for like 30 seconds. So yeah, we're gonna start off with Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 3 today. And then we are going to go right into Journey into Mystery number 96. We have the A story, and we have the 5-page C story that I just referenced. We also have the big boy this week is Avengers issue number 1. The Avengers are finally here. And then we have Tales of Suspense number 45, when Iron Man finally starts getting good. And then we have Tales to Astonish number 47, a really shitty Ant-Man. And then we have Strange Tales number 113, a really shitty Human Torch.
Now let's be honest. That Ant-Man is only like the 3rd or 4th shittiest story we're covering this week.
That is true,
that's
because
get
Strange
people
Tales
excited.
is worse, and we have the 5-page story.
Hey, us talking about shitty stories can be fun because we crap all over them.
Yeah.
It's actually reading the books that's the hard part.
Yeah, so some of us don't actually have to do that.
Yeah, how to get people interested in the podcast. Hey, guys, come listen to us, because we're talking about really shit comics.
Hey, I like listening to people talk about shit comics because it's funny. It's when the comics are just kind of average that they're not great to talk about.
Some of our best moments on the podcast have been talking about shitty comics. I just work 8 hours. And my speech impediment's coming out.
Thanks for just fucking saying it, Ryan.
My speech impediment's coming out. I apologize in advance. Fucking hell. Yeah, just bury the lead. Let's get into this third.
Next
I guess you're going first then, Ryan.
Talking about how you have to work with empty-headed fucking losers. Just cut a complete promo at a press conference on us.
Honest to God.
Oh my.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I was getting CM Punk in there somewhere.
You did it. Before we go into the Sergeant Fury issue, actually, we should promote that tomorrow our monthly bonus episode is coming out, where we will be talking finally about the first phase of the MCU, and this should be a very interesting conversation. So make sure to tune in.
I think it will be.
I'm looking forward to it.
I am too.
All right, Ryan, you're up. Tell us about today's exciting comic.
Just to warn you, you're a bit choppy. You're on your.
Am I?
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not awful. It keeps going, and it keeps happening here and there, but it should be fine. Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos, issue number 3. The story is called Midnight on Massacre Mountain. We have Stan Lee and Jack Kirby on this bitch. We have Dick Ayers on the inks and helping Jack on the cover, of course, for inking purposes. And we got letters by Sam Rosen. This is a July 1963 release, a 22-page story, and off we go to Massacre Mountain. So we get
I doubt there's a place in Italy actually called Massacre Mountain.
Probably not, but who cares?
But there should be. It's an awesome name for a mountain.
It is, but it's also in English.
So we have a pretty. It's a decent cover. Although this might be a case of where you could say they shouldn't have word bubbles really as much. But
it has the bonus of being something that actually happens in the comic, which is always nice.
Yeah, that's true. So we open up.
Unlike most of the covers, it's very exciting.
Yeah,
it is
they
an
generally do
exciting
good
cover.
covers with Fury.
Yeah, Fury tends to get really good covers. So,
Okay. Sorry, Ryan.
I opened my I opened my notes just to see what I had going, if I had anything from the start. And my first note is that I forgot to take notes for the first 8 pages. So nice. So we open up with a page just introducing us back to all the characters, and we kind of know them by now, so we won't spend too much time on that. But we open up, they're fighting some Nazis. Yay, kill Nazis. They collect themselves back at camp. Eventually they're sent to Italy to what is they have to stop some kind of
guys that are stuck on a mountain.
Yeah, they're stuck in the middle of a mountain, and they have to extract some allies, and they're joined by they're joined by some people too along the way to try and get them out.
Yeah, they're gonna have to meet up with an OSS contact.
They're joined by Hans Schmidt at one point, who is
I think he gives a different name.
He does,
that
but
kind of gives away the whole gimmick of him.
Where is his name here that he gives?
Christ, I can't even remember what his fake name is.
You know what? We'll just call him Hans Schmidt. It's okay. We meet blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
He's a member of the press, anyway.
Yeah, he's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan boy. He's a supposed member of the press that is going. He is being a war journalist and taking notes and everything happening on their mission here to the Massacre Mountain.
He's just randomly wandering around in Nazi-controlled territory.
Yeah, of course.
Totally not suspicious.
I mean, we said his real name's Hans Schmidt already. Yes, he does. He does turn out to be a Nazi, and he turns out to be against them, and he turns on the Howling Commandos later on in this issue, and then I think they end up killing him for it. Well, it's implied, I believe, that he's killed.
It's one of the more explicit killings of someone in this strip.
We start to get more and more explicit killings in this comic. From here, I think.
The comics code is starting to relax a little bit at this point. A little bit.
Yeah, he turns on them fully on pages 18 and 19 when he fully reveals himself on 19.
Although, before we jump into Hans Schmidt, we're overlooking another important person when they meet up.
One of the big notes of this issue is that good old Reed Richards actually meets up and is one of the allies that helps them out for a bit in this issue. We see Reed Richards in the wartime, and it kind of plays a little bit into a Fantastic Four issue coming out. We have some background to Reed and Nick being old buddies in the war.
Although this gets confusing because with Marvel's sliding timescale, it eventually gets retconned to be Reed's grandfather, despite the fact that this comic explicitly identifies it as Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, because they would have to keep move. That would be how they explain the real time.
World War II doesn't move, and everyone else's age does, so...
Yeah, you can get away. Nick Fury can still be there, because he has the friggin' Infinity Serum, or whatever it's called in his veins.
Yeah, plus it's not the same Nick Fury.
That's true.
Because they're using the Samuel L. Jackson-inspired one nowadays.
Yeah, that's his son in the main continuity, so... In the Ultimate Universe, it was just him to begin with.
I just figured at some point Ultimate Fury took over. I never knew the son thing.
No, the Black Nick Fury in 616 is actually Nick Fury's son. He's technically Nick Fury Jr.
Oh, I did not know that.
Fun fact.
New every day.
Me either.
Yeah, no. So there we are. And
I figured they just wanted to cash in on the MCU, so they just kind of subtly shifted Ultimate Nick Fury over.
I mean, they still did want to cash in on it. It's just it wasn't the same.
Yeah, I mean that's totally why he's now the main Nick Fury.
Yeah, obviously. And now Nick Fury Senior, as he's called now, is a weird man on the moon.
That's right, he's a watcher now. I've got that.
Yeah, I don't know if he still is technically, but they've been flipping back and forth on it. But yeah, back to this old ass comic. They are successful. There's not really much. This is a lot of filler, so I'm really trying to keep this one short. But they end up being successful in their extraction mission.
Yeah.
They had
There is a bit to the extraction mission that I think is probably important to tell, because they keep sending out patrols to try to break through the Nazis. And every time the patrols get ambushed by Nazis that suspiciously know where they are.
Yeah.
And so Nick finally tells them to go in one direction and hands them a note telling them to turn a different direction as soon as they're out of sight. And that works, and that's how they catch Schmidt.
Yeah, that's how they catch Hans. They tricky. The friggin' Nazis can't keep up. They're successful. They retrieve the team that they were sent to save from the center of the mountain there, and there's a big celebration to end this issue off. And we are teased with a little message at the end here that's like, ever wonder what kind of gal friend the guy like Fury would have? You'll meet her next issue. So we're promised a gal friend for Fury next issue. So
spoiler, that's not why 4 is important.
No, it's not. We've teased that 4 is an important issue. That is not why, although it is a decent addition. There is an America's World War II shop on this that showcases some World War II weaponry too. That's interesting. So.
Yeah, the amount of stuff they're selling with swastikas on it in comic books around this time is kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, well.
Because they're just straight up selling replica Nazi uniforms and stuff.
Nice. Classy. Well, how did we feel about Sergeant Fury this time?
It was very Sergeant Fury.
Yeah, that's true.
You were probably right to just skip over 90% of this issue, because it's a Sergeant Fury issue, and unfortunately most of the time they just go and fight a bunch of stuff. But this was a fun comic. I liked it.
Honestly, part of me skipping 2 is just the long day I've had, and also we had unknown what comics we have coming. We just needed to get through Sergeant Fury today. There's not enough important stuff that happens in the issue. It's a really good issue. I gave it 3 stars. I mean,
I gave
it's
it 3
fine.
stars too. Don't take our not having a lot to say about it as this being a bad comic. If you like the action comics where they, go fight a bunch of Nazis, do some crazy stuff, have a brawl, this comic's great.
If you like war comics at all, this is a really good one. If you haven't read this for some reason, this is one to check out.
Yeah, this whole series is great if you like war comics. It's just like all war comics. They can't really accomplish too much because we know how history played out. If they, go to Berlin and murder Hitler, well, that doesn't really work for claiming it's based in reality anymore.
Yeah, but for what it is, it's not that bad. Right, there was a need for war comics.
I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, I mean...
as far as propaganda goes, it's pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's...
They did one thing that annoyed me in this comic. I can't stand it when they do it. And that's when they write the Germans speaking English, but then write the comedically exaggerated German accent.
I should point out, this issue was actually really notable in terms of the team dynamic. The team dynamic reading this comic is actually a lot better than the first 2 issues. The team dynamic here was really solid. It was a lot of filler, but the team interactions with each other were really fun.
Yeah, the best part was something you completely blew over because it ultimately doesn't advance the plot at all, where they go to a pub in England and Fury tags along with the rest of the team, and they get into a fight in the pub, and Happy has to go get them out of the brig, and he's all disappointed that somehow the Howling Commandos actually managed to get caught. And then when he's going over there, there's an entire division of MPs that are needing to be hospitalized from trying to bring the Howlers in.
Yeah, there's some really fun moments. They're teasing each other more. And, I mean, it sure would be a shame if something were to happen to one of the team members.
That would suck.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're in the 60s where these sort of lasting consequences don't apply.
Yeah, no, nothing like that would ever happen this early on in Reed Feud, so.
I'm also glad that, unlike Fantastic Four, it didn't take them 15 issues to figure out the team dynamic.
Oh, thank God.
Because the thing that makes Sergeant Fury worth reading is the team dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
The stories are fairly simplistic and generally, inconsequential, but
well,
the team dynamic is a ton of fun to read.
You can also tell there is quite a bit of care put into this title too. Like they want to tell this story.
This was one of the most important stories to them because both Jack and Stan served in World War II.
Yeah. Oh, this was the actual first appearance of the OSS too. There we go.
Yeah, they're not used very often.
No, they're not used again until issue 38, so... Oh, issue 38 of Nick Fury, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., 1989, so yeah, not a long time.
I think at this point, the OSS was barely acknowledged as being a thing, like, in pop culture, period.
Probably not.
It's not like nowadays where we just have CIA stories constantly.
Yeah.
Spoilers to anyone who's not up on American history, the OSS is the precursor to the CIA.
Yeah. Sure is. Any other notes on that one, I guess I should say?
Not really. T-Mole shows up next issue. None of the side characters end up mattering.
Yeah. So, I guess off we go. The Journey into Mystery number 96, and we have the A story here. The Stanley and Robert Bernstein are the writers. We got Joe Snow on art. We've got Jack Kirby, Dick Giles on the cover, and we've got Artie Simic on letters. It's July 1963 release, a 13-page story, and I'm gonna pass this one off to Dan.
Yay! Robert Bernstein is rapidly turning into a massive red flag.
Really? How come?
Looking at that, I'm looking at this
Every single Robert Bernstein story we've read up to this point, I have hated.
We've mentioned this last week too when Bernstein appeared. I'm shocked I didn't hate this one more considering the creative team here.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. I hated it enough for both of us.
Oh, I imagine. I remember
I'll hate it for you. Okay, well, we're going to leap right in, hoping we don't take too long tonight, so I'll try and be brief, and I'll just give you a brief rundown of the issue. Define the magic of Mad Merlin. Bum, bum, bum. Thor overhears a shore crew state that they are unloading the sarcophagus of the legendary Merlin. Okay. He wonders what it would be like if Merlin were alive today. Well, boy, that's not foreshadowing. Then, entering his office window, Thor returns to his identity of Dr. Don Boring Blake. He emerges from his office to be scolded by his nurse, Jane Foster, because he has been ignoring his patients for over an hour. That's not good. What a loser. He could not tell her he was busy saving a busload of people who fell off a bridge into the river. Yeah, I suppose. I guess that's a good excuse.
Which he does by going to the bottom of the river. Yeah. And I just need to expand on how he saves the bus, because this is some prime grade A bullshit. He goes to the bottom of the river, ties the fucking bus to his hammer, and flings it to the bus depot, where his hammer comes back to him, and the bus lands perfectly on its wheels.
Well, that's lucky. No, seriously, that's super cool. I mean, what other superheroes can do that?
I actually...
Huh? How many others do you know can just tie a hammer to a bus and throw it? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Are they being written by Robert Bernstein?
I don't know.
Because if yes, then probably all of them.
Oh,
Anyway,
come
I'll let you get
on.
back to the
It's
synopsis.
creative.
This isn't something
Being
I want to
so
linger
mean
on.
to Thor. At the museum, Merlin's sarcophagus is open to reveal his body is still in perfect condition. He's so gooey. As soon as the workers leave, Merlin awakens and recalls how he used his mutant powers of telepathy, levitation, and teleportation to fake magic. Okay. Not sure if that sentence makes any sense. Reading a newspaper, which he probably wouldn't have been able to do because he wouldn't understand English.
Oh, don't
Newspaper.
worry. It makes less sense in the actual comic.
Oh, okay. He learns of a missile test at Cape Door and uses his powers to send the missile off course. Why would he do that? What is he up to? We'll find out next, folks, when I reach the next paragraph. Alerted by a radio broadcast, Thor arrives and corrects the missile's course. He then goes to Asgard to see if the imprisoned Loki is behind the mishap. Loki reveals that Merlin is the one responsible. Thor heads to the museum to check out Loki's claim. But Merlin has transported himself to Washington, D.C., where he enters the White House to try and take the country from President Kennedy. Okay. Sure. Thor arrives and battles, and a battle follows with Merlin using the Washington Monument as a super lance and animating the statue from the Lincoln Memorial. That's creative, if nothing else. Their powers evenly matched. How the hell are their powers evenly matched? Thor decides to take the gamble.
Because Robert Bernstein has no concept of power levels.
So it would seem. He strikes his hammer, returning to the form of Blake. He then convinces Merlin he is a shapeshifter and able to become thousands of more powerful forms. He orders, because Don Blake is more powerful than Thor, he orders Merlin to return to his sarcophagus for another 1,000 years. Back to your room. Without your toys. Go. And later, in the operating room, Jane comments that when it comes to the operating table, Dr. Blake is a magician. Is that like something kinky meant by that, or is that just, like young or boring?
No, it's a joke because he fought an actual magician.
Oh, it's the funniest joke I've ever heard.
It's the usual wink and nod at the audience in the last panel superhero joke that was huge at this time.
Well, that's a kind of a throwaway story, isn't it? Yeah,
it really is. It's not even real Merlin.
Yeah, nice boots.
Mad
though,
Merlin and Merlin are different people because they've incorporated once they incorporate the actual Merlin from the 50s Black Knight stories into continuity, this one is determined to be a different
fades
Merlin.
Away.
Oh no, they still use him. He's just not the Merlin that was with we're all having one of those nights, it sounds, with King Arthur.
Yeah, okay.
Contagious.
Yeah, this is not a particularly good story from what the synopsis shows me here. I don't know. I didn't read the actual comic, I admit.
It was worse actually reading it.
My personal favorite parts of the issue is when we see JFK and then when the Lincoln Monument is brought to life.
Yeah.
Okay,
One good thing they did that the synopsis omitted. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
No, sorry. I was going to say I do like the fact that they make the Lincoln Memorial come to life. That is kind of cool. Yeah,
that was good. I also like that once he starts using magic type stuff, Thor's first thought is it must be Loki, and he goes to Asgard, and it's just not Loki.
Yeah, my man's getting some serious shit
But he actually
dumped on him
thinks
here.
to go check. He actually does think to go check if it's Loki, which you would do if you were Thor. So they're making an effort to make a bit more of an established world for Thor. It's just
I just think
was so
you
bad.
You can tell these writers are prejudiced, like, in such a horrible way, because, like, you read a Spider-Man, they make J. Jonah Jameson look like such a bad guy, and it's so unfair. I mean, he's not, right? But the writers it's their own prejudice, that they want him to be the bad guy instead of Spider-Wimp, right? So it's all in the writing and all the people that got to write these things. That's what's going on here, And that's my comment for this comic. It's a bit of a throwaway story.
I'm not shocked that it was a rant on Spider-Man. He's your Colt Cabana.
Epic Culta Cabana.
Really?
What?
Really working it in.
I am.
Merlin
nothing
next
to the
reviews the
story. It's
Strange
just
Tales
a-
number 134A story.
It's just a boring
And JFK.
general story.
JFK next
Who's
appears in
JFK?
Deadly Hand of Kung Fu number 16B story.
I've never heard of
I'm
the
actually
JFK.
surprised they held off using JFK that long.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Well, it turns out they were a little late.
Oh,
Sorry.
that was that was low even for you.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
so
come
I
on.
gave the
After the
I gave
character
this one-
assassination they do on friggin' J. Jonah, I'm surprised they were so nice to JFK.
I gave this one 2 stars. I know Bill gave it 1 star.
Yeah, you were generous with this story.
Yeah,
This was painful to read.
it was really bad. I think there was just a few fun moments that I just let
Yeah,
let,
I
let
would
bump
get
it up a little.
I would give it 2 simply for the animating the statues and crap like that, because that's kind of fun.
That's pretty much why it got 2 in my eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I think I was just mad about the whole Merlin thing.
You're mad about Merlin?
Yeah. One of my notes is so Merlin appeared on page 5 to ruin the story, I guess. So.
Ow. Cruel.
I mean, it wasn't better before he was there.
You were being such a
Well-
biatch. Okay, so
Well-
let's just pretend this comic never happened and move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's
Alright.
talk about the 5-pager real fast.
And it's going to be real fast because I'm the only one who read this, and that's only because I managed to find an actual physical copy of this comic like 5 years ago.
Ooh.
Call her
And
Medusa.
None of us have been able to locate any version of this since then. So we're running off my real old memories. But fortunately, this story doesn't really do anything, so the fact that I barely remember it doesn't matter.
Okay, so what is
It's written
this
by
one?
Stan Lee and Larry Lieber, inked by Paul Reinman,
Is this Tales to
and lettered
Astonish?
by Artie Simic. No, this is Journey into Mystery still. It's the Sea story
Oh, the Sea Story. Okay.
that they didn't write a synopsis on, so I couldn't even look it up.
Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah. But literally, from what I
Oh.
remember of this story,
I have a synopsis
Oh.
on it.
you do?
Yeah.
It wasn't up on that site 2 days ago when I looked.
Frederick Fenton's Future?
No, this is Call Her Medusa.
Oh, okay. I sorry, because they
Frederick
have Call Her
Fenton was
Medusa
the
as
B
the B.
story.
They have Call Her Medusa coming before Frederick Fenton's Future.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Frederick Fenton's the D story.
Okay.
There's the B story. That's the text story, and then
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No problem. Sorry. My bad.
yeah, no worries. I was excited for a second because it would have been good if we had something more recent, but
Yeah. No, you're right. It
Um,
says synopsis, not written.
yeah, this story is just as I remember it. A woman is walking around New York City with a shawl over her head,
Just me and my
and
shawl.
random people are rude to her
Who's that
and
bitch?
end up turning to stone. And then in the last page, her shawl comes off her head, and it's revealed that she's Medusa, and that's why they've been turning to stone.
Oh my god, I
she's
fucking
going
hate
snaky.
Medusa.
Yeah, and when I say Medusa, I don't mean the good Medusa that's in the Inhumans. I mean the Gorgon that doesn't actually end up being canonically important, but just exists because of brief interactions with the Olympians.
Huh. Well.
So, yeah, 1-star story.
Yeah, same here. I didn't even read it, but I just wanted to get it out of my my box on the side. Gotta give that a star and say I read it, brother.
Okay, so the question I have for both of you is why are we covering it then?
Because
Like-
it's in the order.
It is canonical because the Gorgons and the Olympians interact, and of course
Okay.
Hercules.
Hercules, what a little jerkules.
That's just why we're not spending much time on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's only even in the main order because it's after Fantastic Four #1. Otherwise, this would be one of the expanded order monster stories that's technically canon, but really doesn't advance your understanding of the 616 universe at all.
Okay. No problem.
So we're gonna move on to Avengers issue #1. Finally, we have hit Avengers, and this story is called The Coming of the Avengers. Whoa! We have Stanley and Jack Kirby gets a writing credit here as well, but Kirby is on art, Dick Ayers is on inks and helping Kirby on the inks on the cover. We got Stan Goldberg on colors, which doesn't really matter to us, of course, but we got Sam
I've
Rosen
got
on
the
letters.
properly colored one.
Oh, wow. July 1963 release date, 22-page story, and I'm passing this one off to Bill.
Go, Bill,
Alright,
go.
so this
go,
story-
Bill, go. Sorry.
This story opens in Asgard, where Loki is plotting revenge on Thor for all the previous times he's been defeated. And then we cut down to Earth, where Loki's spying on Don Blake, who's all busy being a doctor. And Loki's thinking about how he doesn't want to beat Don Blake. There's no satisfaction in that. He needs to beat Thor. And so he needs to find some sort of a menace that will draw Thor out. And so he starts looking around, and he sees the Hulk. And he decides to make Hulk look like a menace. And Hulk's traveling along a rail line. So Loki creates an illusionary bomb on a rail bridge. And the Hulk, who's jumping along, drops out of the air to grab the bomb and save the train that's coming. And his weight, because he doesn't break his fall properly because he's trying to grab the bomb real quick, is such that he punches through the bridge and bends it. And he sees a train coming. But he goes and gets a boulder and stands on the boulder and holds the bridge up so the train can go over it. And Loki realizes that he's still accomplished his goal because people aren't going to realize that Hulk saved the train. They're going to think he was trying to destroy it. And it works. So there's newspaper stories about the Hulk going on another rampage. And Rick Jones sees these and is like, Hulk couldn't possibly have actually been trying to destroy the train. We need to get someone to help prove that he's innocent. So he goes to the Team Brigade and gets them to send a message to the Fantastic Four because they've encountered the Hulk before. And he wants them to help. And Loki's like, well, this can't stand. We don't want the Fantastic Four. We want Thor. So he deflects the radio wave to a different frequency through science.
Yeah,
Loki
okay.
powers, but I don't think radio waves actually work the way they think it does.
Let's fucking go. I love science.
Yeah. And so Don Blake gets this message about Hulk being on a rampage, and so he turns into Thor to go fight the Hulk, I guess. But Loki was a little careless when he deflected this radio message, and it went to several other people as well. So Ant-Man and Wasp head off to go fight Hulk, and so does Iron Man. And the Team Brigade are all disappointed that the Fantastic Four are ghosting them. But I guess Loki got bored with deflecting the radio signal or something. Oh no, I see what happened. The Fantastic Four managed to pick up their message, even though it was on the wrong wavelength, and sent back to them that they were idiots and were sending on the wrong wavelength. But fortunately, they're real busy and won't be able to come help them anyway, but several other people are going to come help them. And so they're all disappointed that no one's going to actually help them, and Reed just totally blew them off. like an asshole. And
I forgot about that. It's so good.
yeah, and just then, all the other heroes that responded to the message showed up. And they introduced themselves to the Teen Brigade. The Teen Brigade starts telling them what's happening. And Loki's like, well, shit. I don't want like 20 guys. I just want to fight Thor. So he makes an illusory Hulk run by the building when Thor's looking outside. Probably because he's bored about Rick. And Thor sees the Hulk and doesn't say anything to anyone else. And just runs off and starts chasing it. And he doesn't realize the problem, despite the fact that this Hulk is see-through, until he throws his hammer at it, and it doesn't hit, and comes back. And so he realizes that it's just Loki fucking with him. So he leaves and goes to Asgard and doesn't tell anyone.
We're going to
And the rest of the heroes and Rick set out looking. He's going to murder Loki is what he's doing.
He's not Spider-Man.
That's rude.
So.
Yeah. And so the rest of the heroes and Rick are left with no leads, so they just go to the circus. And at the circus is this giant green robot made up like a clown called Meccano that's juggling a lot of animals, including an elephant, because animal cruelty is a thing at this time. It's like an elephant and a horse, and then like a seal or a dog or a wolverine or something. I'm not sure what the small animal is supposed to be. It's not drawn very well. And you see all the circus people talking about how great it is that they just randomly found this super strong robot that they were able to get to come work in the circus for them.
Nice.
And all the heroes are enjoying the performance. And then Ant-Man gets a signal from all his ants that the Hulk might be in the area. So the ants they set off to go find the Hulk, and the ants all go underground, weaken the ground, and so the robot, in massive quotes, falls to the ground, and of course it's actually Hulk in a disguise. And so he busts out, and he starts trying to grab Ant-Man, and a bunch more ants knock down this, like, barrel thing off one of the flagpoles, and it falls on him. And he busts out of that and takes off his disguise, so he's just the Hulk, and stuns Wasp with a bellows.
That's good,
and he
because
grabs
she's
her out of
such
the air,
a
and he's
buzzy
about
body.
to squash her.
Yes. Oh, come on.
Why?
That was a good one.
That one was awful.
That's one of the worst ones I've ever heard you fucking say.
No.
It really was terrible.
I'm refusing to give you a laugh for that. Like, you're not getting shit out of me for that one.
Oh, that's cruel. Wow.
Usually you're the one that breaks and laughs for it.
That was so bad.
That one was awful. Respect, Dan. That was great.
Thank you.
So anyway, Hulk's about to squash the buzzy body when, did I just break you with your own joke?
Yep, you did.
When Iron Man shows up and starts chasing him, and Hulk tries to leap out of the big top, but they've spread a net at some point over the top of it. So Hulk gets stuck in the net and drags the entire tent with him, but then he immediately gets free of it on the same page, so there wasn't really any point to that, it just sort of happened. And he drops down, and Iron Man flies over him, and then he comes up and they start fighting in the air. And Hulk knocks Iron Man down and then jumps away for safety. And Iron Man's trying to reason with him that they don't actually think he's a murderer. And if he just calmed down and worked with them, they could figure out who was framing him. But Hulk doesn't trust them. And we cut back to Thor in Asgard, who's petitioning Odin for the right to go investigate Loki. And Odin grants him the permission, but tells him that he can't help what goes on between them because he's not going to raise a hand against either of his sons. And so Thor sets off, goes to the Island of Silence where Loki's imprisoned. First we've heard of this, but okay. And Loki sets a bunch of traps for him to try to catch him on the way. But Thor gets through all of them and confronts Loki on the island and gets attacked by a whole bunch of trolls that Loki had agreed to basically sell Thor to in exchange for his freedom. But Thor fights all the trolls off. And he starts beating up Loki. So Loki catches him. And we cut back to Midgard where Thor and Iron Man, or Hulk and Iron Man are still fighting. They fight into this like manufacturing plant where they're making cars.
At a car
and
making
they
factory?
fight in there for a while. Yes. They fight in there for a while. And Iron Man and Thor are just about to start doing real damage to them when Thor arrives with Loki stuck to his hammer by magnetism. I think this is the start of Stan's really bad magnetism and obsession. And he's like, it was actually this guy that caused all the problems. And Loki decides to escape by turning himself into the radioactive man. And he starts trying to escape. But Ant-Man's ants open a trapdoor on the floor that he falls through. And then they stick him into a giant lead tank. And so he's sealed up in there until he decides to stop being radioactive. And Thor promises he's going to take him back to Asgard and make sure that he's properly imprisoned. And everyone decides that they liked working together, even though they were fighting with the Hulk for the entire issue, while Thor solved everything himself. And so they decide they're going to make a team, but they need a name. And so Wasp comes up with the name of the Avengers. And they decide that they will be a team forever, or until the next issue.
Yay.
The end.
Okay.
Woo!
I'm no idea how to react to this.
I couldn't believe that Ant-Man was the one to defeat Loki when I read this.
Well, he didn't really defeat him. He just sealed him up in the lead tank. Thor did all the defeating.
Well, I mean, yeah, but...
Yeah,
and I mean, honestly, even his turning radioactive wouldn't have held Thor up that long. He could have just stuck him to his hammer and thrown him back to China.
Yeah, because the rest of them didn't. These Avengers didn't show any initiative.
It was nice to see a bit more of a heroic Hulk here.
I saw what you did there.
Thank you.
I also marked for the team brigade.
Ryan's just ignoring me. He's just plowing on. I tried. I did try. I try so hard, everybody. I do. And these two wet blankets just, they just plow on like nothing happened.
Oh, come on. You wouldn't have nearly as much fun if we actually, rewarded you for those.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Oh, come on, Buzzy Body. You gotta admit that one was good.
No.
Admit it.
That was...
Say it.
No.
As far as bad puns go, that one was one of your worst.
I'm not giving you that one.
Yes. That's what I wanted to hear. I am like the green evil villain of this podcast. You know,
That's very true.
Right? Yeah.
It is.
I gotta start wearing a green
accurate.
shirt when I do this.
I'm just here wearing a purple one.
Ooh, aren't you special?
Yeah, Hala Madrid.
Oh, you bastard.
I saw that coming.
I did not see that coming. I
That
walked
makes it better.
fucking into that, you son of a...
I couldn't
Bought them the shirt. It's your own fault.
I
Yes,
couldn't
I
believe
did.
you didn't see that coming.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
And it is my fault.
That made it much better.
To be fair, I did give you that shirt. That is very fair. You're going to wear it out, you know that, right?
Oh, I already have. I wore it to work today, although it was covered, but...
Wow. Okay.
So,
what did you guys
nobody
think of this
important.
episode?
Oh, well, I mean, I gave it 3 stars.
I gave it 4. I really enjoyed this, even though it's not really an Avengers story per se.
No, but it's good.
Because the heroes are doing their own things for the entire time. Like, Thor just leaves and doesn't tell anyone. And then shows up and he's like, here's Loki. He was the problem and I've solved it.
Well, he does that in the movie, too.
Oh, yeah. No, they did with the movie, they actually did a fairly good job of capturing the feel of this issue for a lot of it. I mean, sure, the story is more advanced in the movie because it's a 2-hour movie and instead of a 22-page comic written in 1963. But I really actually liked that the Avengers didn't form until the last panel.
Yeah. I think it was an obvious progression when they were doing these superheroes that at some point in time they would all get together. Right. And I think as far as it goes...
I like that they...
Sorry, I just think they picked a good villain to sort of team up against.
They did. And I like that they had a proper reason for them to form up instead of just, hey, we're all in the heroing business. Let's be heroes together.
Yeah.
So, I was going to say before that there was no important character notes really for this issue, but God forbid, I almost missed that Wooly next appears in issue number 9.
There were no important character notes in this issue. Everyone pretty much turns up next where you'd expect them to turn up next.
What, in a Marvel comic?
Yeah.
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 But, I mean, beyond that, they all turn up back in their own titles next, except Hulk and
because he doesn't have
Rick,
a title.
who at this point only have Avengers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, it was okay. Like, for what it is, it was fine. I can see where this would have been a really popular comic.
Yeah, this probably sold really well, I would think.
And it was a good
I'd
idea.
imagine Avengers...
Sorry, I just... to promote comic book heroes that maybe some of the people weren't reading otherwise, putting them all together exposes you to the other comic book heroes.
I really wish I knew how many people were reading Ant-Man, so I could hunt them all down.
And beat the crap out of them.
Not that many, since Ant-Man won't be with us very much longer.
What a shame.
Does he bug you?
I guess we should move on to I guess we should move on to Tales of Suspense number 45 here. The Icy Fingers of Jack Frost. Stan Lee. Oh, thank God Robert Bernstein's back. Somehow he doesn't...
Shockingly, he produces a good comic here.
Don Heck. Oh, no wonder it's so good too. Don Heck's on art, thank God. Jack Kirby helps on the cover though. And we got Sam Rosen on
What the hell was that?
Sam Rosen
Blah, blah,
on
blah, blah.
letters. June 1963 release date and 18-page story, and whether or not it's a good fan, I'm gonna take this one.
I think the extra 5 pages really helped this story too.
Wow, this is a comic with the icing on the cake.
It might not help my synopsis, but
It might not,
Bill got
but
that one.
I think giving it some more room to breathe
Can I
was
cut some of
beneficial.
these
Part
jokes
of the
in?
reason what I would consider to be titles tend not to be as good is because there's so little you can really do in 12 pages.
True.
Oh, I think they've shown us how little
And
they
at this
can do in
point, they're
12
not
pages
doing
before.
multi-part stories yet. Sorry, what was that, Dan?
I think they've shown us just how little they can do in 12 pages before.
They definitely have. Like, when the split comics start becoming good, they're basically all at least 2-parters, so they're full-length comics that are just split over 2 books instead of stories that are expected to wrap up in 12 pages.
Yeah, it's a lot better when they start going into more story arc type things, when they go 2-parters more.
Alrighty, let's do this.
Decent cover. Start off with that note. We open up with, whoa, who's this? It's Jack Frost, and he's frozen a new friend called Happy Hogan, and Iron Man is in trouble. So Iron Man's just being Iron Man, really. He's just flying about, opening up the issue.
He's using the rocket power rollerblades, which immediately is a knock against this comic.
I try not to hold that against him too much, but yeah. Tony is in for a race. He's going around a race, but his car breaks down, and this is where we on page
Oh no, it's
4.
not his car, it's his heart.
Oh, okay. Well, his heart starts going out, and this is where we meet new character, and we get side characters in this issue. We meet Happy Hogan. Finally, some side characters, and it makes the comic so much better. Happy Hogan's introduced here, and Tony was like, "Get me to my house. I need to get home. I'm not doing good." Happy's probably wondering why I can't take him to a hospital, but here we are.
Especially given that when Happy pulled him out of the wreck, he was fucking on fire.
Yeah, so Tony gets Happy to take him home, and Tony plugs himself back in to recharge like he's a smartphone, and then he's all good to go. And then the next day or whatever,
Take me to a radio
Tony
shack. I need batteries.
Or 5 minutes later.
yeah. Oh, it does
They
say 5
literally
minutes
say
later.
5 minutes later. He goes
Holy
in,
shit.
recharges, and immediately leaves the room again.
He recharged fast. My fucking charged faster than my goddamn phone.
He's got a
Wait.
quick charger.
Oh man, lightning chargers are great. We got 5 minutes later. Realistic. Tony writes Happy a big fat check for saving his life. Happy rips it up, and he's like, "Well, he's like, Mister, what I can use is a nice steady job with 3 weeks vacation with pay, and a good pension plan, and all kinds of fringe benefits." So
You and
Tony,
me
Maybe
both,
dancing
Happy.
girls,
Yeah, amen,
free
brother.
chocolate.
Tony right away is like, "Well, yeah, I'll give you a job. You saved my life." So Tony hires him as a chauffeur bodyguard combo. And this is also where we actually meet. This is where we meet Pepper Potts as well, as she is a little bitchy at some point here. She kind of is pretty bitchy early on, but it's fun. Really fun
I
interaction.
actually like the early Happy and Pepper characters better than the later ones, where Pepper's kind of a bitch and Happy's like this punch-drunk, cranky ex-boxer. And once they kind of smooth out those character traits, they're less interesting.
No, they're really good. They're really good characters here early on, from what I've read so far. So it'll be interesting to see how they evolve, so to say.
A warning, they get kind of bland for a while when Pepper loses her freckles.
Oh no! Why would you take away her freckles?
Because at some point they decide she needs to be the generic, beautiful love interest instead of like an interesting, rounded character.
Wow, sounds about right. Right away, Happy's like hitting on Pepper, but she's not giving any of it back. She's kind of just bitchy towards him, and it's kind of funny.
Yes, she does not like Happy.
It's pretty great dynamic. Tony, we see Tony suit up for some reason here. He's suiting up, and
Someone was breaking into a safe.
Yeah, somebody is breaking in, and it's Professor Shapanka. One of his most trusted scientists, I guess. Whoa, you can't trust anybody these days. He's breaking
Especially
in.
not the character we've never heard of before right now.
Well,
He's wearing Hulk
a good
pants
way
and
to
he's
tell.
breaking into the Tony's
Sorry.
safe, but he's been stopped. But some chemicals break out at some point, I think, here or something.
No,
yeah.
nothing
No,
breaks.
he does
Tony
it later.
just fires him.
Tony fires him on the spot, and then later, Shapanka conducts his own experiments, I think, and he creates a suit that gives him special powers to freeze whatever is near him. And this is how he becomes Jack Frost, through science, bitch, not through any accidental accidental thing that could have happened.
Well, your first clue is if he's wearing
So
green
Jack
and
Frost
he's got
is
a
loose, and
PhD,
he has
he's a
come
bad
back,
guy.
and he is being a menace, and he is freezing every fucking buddy on the on campus. He makes it into the newspaper, I think, here, and he was dreaming about freezing everybody and taking over shit before, but now he's actually going to do it. He makes it and he freezes a ton of guards. He ends up freezing Happy Hogan, and then Tony's in his Iron Man armor. Jack Frost thinks he has the upper hand, of course. He goes to freeze Iron Man, but it doesn't work out. And Iron Man shoots from his shoots a heat ray from his center, the center of his
Chest
armor,
plate.
where there's his chest plate, where his friggin' arc reactor would be and everything. And his heat ray apparently has enough heat as if it's a miniature furnace. So Jack Frost is melting. Tony melts everybody else that was frozen. Shapanka's suit becomes ineffective, and that's essentially where we leave off. Voila. I'm gonna go look at my notes. Did I miss anything? Let's see.
While you're looking that up, I'll take the time to say the villain was not the good part of this issue.
No, it was the side characters introduced.
He
in
was
Happy Hogan
fine.
and Pepper Potts.
Yeah, he was fine, but all the stuff with Tony meeting Happy and then Happy and Pepper was the good stuff.
I don't know. This villain left
Oh
me a little
yeah,
cold.
I was like, it's a good. God damn it! It's a fucking hell. Fuck. Oh, the sad part is that was the best one.
It really was.
I pointed out in my notes, like, why the fuck would Tony not report Shapanka to the police? But yeah,
They answered that in the comic.
they do.
Because Shapanko did good work for him in the past.
He was
And so
such.
Tony doesn't want to completely ruin his life, so he just lets him go.
He was his trusted scientist for so long. He wants to give him a chance to not.
Yeah, he's like,
completely
you
ruin his
fucked
life."
up once and I can't keep you around. But hopefully you'll learn from this.
Can I make a point?
Yeah. So I mean, really, good comic.
Well, I want to make
Maybe.
a point, if that's okay.
Is the point about how bad Spider-Man is?
No, but Spider-Man does have a place
Then
in
yes.
this point. Okay. Something you said triggered me, Bill. You were talking about how they take Pepper Potts, and she goes from, like you said, a well-rounded character into just a beautiful sex object.
Yes.
Right, and
He cut out again. He's been doing that.
oh, I'm sorry, my connection's probably crap tonight or
We
something.
lost you, Dan. Yeah.
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we can hear you. You cut out right after you said from when they take Pepper Potts.
Oh, okay. Well, they take Pepper Potts and they turn her from a well-rounded character into a sex object.
Yeah.
Okay. Marvel has a habit of doing that, and they do it right up into today. They did it with Aunt May, who was this well-rounded older woman who was taking care of Peter.
And they do. You cut out again.
Oh, they take Aunt May, and they turn her in from this, this sort of side character, slightly well-rounded, et cetera, into a sex object in the last movie, where they've got a much younger actress playing her and all this stuff. It's a Marvel thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they de-aged her like 40 years in the Spider-Man movies. I mean, I like Marissa Tomei, Aunt May,
yeah.
but she's not Aunt May.
Now, I think Marissa Tomei is fantastic, but she's a great actress, but they've been doing this with a lot of these characters.
This is one of the most egregious cases, because early on, Pepper's got freckles, and she's not drawn to be a terribly attractive woman. Like, she's not ugly, but she's not drawn with the tropes of an attractive woman in a comic.
Yeah.
She's just kind of a normal-looking woman. And Happy's the only one that's smitten with her. And then at some point, they decide they want to do the Tony, Iron Man, Pepper love triangle that they do in every single comic in this era. And so they start drawing her conventionally attractive, and they lose the freckles. And at the same time, they change Happy to like a handsome playboy looking kind of guy instead of the ugly beat up boxer that he is early on, and it's a big step back for both of their characters.
That's fucked up.
But Marvel does this a lot. Right, I can't give you specific instances right now, but it seems to be something they like doing. Taking, female characters and making them as generically attractive as they can.
I don't think that's unique to Marvel.
Well, no, but I just feel like it's literally, especially in that particular period of time, it's a step backwards.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it's a product of comics at this time being intended for teenage boys.
Yeah.
Well, I guess some character notes here. We got Happy Hogan and Pepper Potts now become regular parts of Iron Man, thank God. So what they'll be seen in every issue going forward for a bit. They're in the next issue and going forward for as much as I've read so far.
They're still turning up fairly regularly in 75.
Well, that's good. Jack Frost won't appear until Iron Man number 86, so that's going to be quite a while. I guess he didn't get over this time. And that's it.
Yeah, Jack Frost is not an important character. He, at least early on, I don't know if they start using him later, but yeah, I'm in 1975, 76, depending on which title I'm reading at the moment, and he's shown up 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, who would ever want a character that's a man made of ice?
You know what would make him so much better?
What's that? Boots?
You know what else would make him so much better?
What's that?
If they cast the governor as him, Arnold.
Oh shit!
Ooh, he could play a cold character.
I went to Iceman. You went to Mr. Freeze.
I know. I was going for Mr. Freeze.
Interesting.
Because Mr. Freeze has a suit. So that's where my mind went.
And really good one-liners.
I couldn't. You started saying that, and I went right to the boots that Iceman was wearing.
I love that in that X-Men they actually call attention to the boots too.
It's so
like
awkward.
They were
it's
convinced
so weird.
It was a good idea.
Yeah. Oh my.
Wow.
Well, I guess we should move on to begrudgingly move on to Tales to Astonish number 47, which is a story titled Music to Scream By, and we might be screaming by the end of this story. We have Stan Lee and Ernie Hart. Oh, Ernie's back. Cool. Don Hex on art. Well, that's nice at least. Jack Kirby
we
and
get
Dick
our
Ayers
small
on the cover.
benefits here.
And John Duffy and Sam Rosen on letters.
Yeah. I will note that Ernie Hart wasn't using his real name on this comic.
Yeah.
He's credited as H.E. Huntley.
Yeah, he was last time too. We didn't point it out last time either.
I don't think I looked at the actual in-comic credits for the last one.
I did last time. It was one of the rare times I actually do. June 1963 release date and 13-page story. And passing this one off to
me. Okay, well, I'll try and get through this. Hopefully I won't cut out. I don't know what's going on with my internet here, but it seems to be really screwed up. So we'll start with Music to Scream By. After preventing international criminal Raymond Thice from stealing the diamond known as the Star of Ghana, the grateful owner tells Ant-Man and Wasp a tale from his native India about a man named Gazandi, whose music could hypnotize people, and that his only weakness is playing the wrong note and being subject to hypnosis himself. Okay, it's a good start so far. That's clever. On their way back home, Ant-Man and Wasp fly past a club where musician Trango is featured playing jazz. Okay. Oh yeah, that was the rage at the time. Bunch of thespians and their friends.
Yeah, this is one of Stan Lee's grumpy old man comics.
Yeah, it sounds like
it. Where he's upset about the kids being into something modern.
Yeah, pop culture and expressive poetry, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, the Wasp convinces Ant-Man to go back there with her in civilian guises of Henry Pym and Janet Van Dyne, After the show, they happen to witness Trango robbing the club's owner's cash box. Donning their identities of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the two heroes easily stop Trango and return the money. The club owner decides not to call the police if Trango promises to return to his native India. What kind of fucking bullshit is that? Okay, 2 months later in India, Trango manages to find the home of Grisandi. Recalling the stories of Grisandi's musical powers, he manages to convince the aged wise man to teach him how to play hypnotic music. And ELO was born. Bum, bum, bum. Many months later, Trango returns to the United States and begins performing in clubs again. Well, he listened well. Successfully using his hypnotic music to enthrall people, Trango manages to get himself into a radio station where he broadcasts his hypnotic music all over the city. Then, there, he calls on the people to try and find Ant-Man and the Wasp, who are real busybodies and bugging him, who are also affected and stunned by the music. Ant-Man's ants carry the two heroes deep into an anthill and attempt to shield them from the music. Realizing his current plan isn't working, Trango commands local snakes to start searching for the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Wow, that's clever. In the anthill, the duo are attacked by a snake in the grass and use their shrinking gas on it, but not before Ant-Man's faithful ant, Core, sacrifices himself to save him. Mark Antony!
Oh, no.
Traveling to the radio station.
No,
not
the ant
Thor.
that we were introduced to earlier this issue.
Yeah. Ant-Man gets inside Trango's trumpet. Wow, say that 3 times fast. And while his ants distract Trango, he bends part of the instrument out of shape. This causes the next note to affect Trango instead of his audience, causing him to forget his... Hold on while I reread this before I say it out loud, because I'm not actually sure this is true. Oh, my dear God. Okay, causing him to forget his criminal intentions and become a legitimate musician. Wow. Like, really? Really?
I've got to say, hearing this synopsis is so much better than reading this issue.
It actually kind of is.
Okay.
It almost sounds like a competent story.
Yeah. Well, it was started well. Ant-Man and Wasp
Damn, the story sucks.
decide to let Trango go because he's not committed any real crimes. How many times have we heard this fucking storyline? We end with Hank and Janet both listening to Trago, as he now has no memory of the incidents, so he lost his memory as well. Hank is still saddened by the loss of his aunt,
of course.
Core, so Jan and he both walk home together, saddened by the loss of his aunt, Core. That story went to shit fast.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're telling me, brother.
So, because he played a wrong note, he suddenly forgets his criminal intentions and becomes a legitimate musician?
Well, they did establish early on that with the hypnotic music, if you played a wrong note, you hypnotize yourself.
Yeah, what?
Really?
You're not paying attention to the plot?
Yeah, but you forget suddenly, so it also causes amnesia.
They have no clue how hypnotism works.
They don't have a clue how anything works.
No, they don't.
Why did you give me this freaking story? It's stupid.
Because you haven't heard what I'm going to have to read next.
This is crap.
Yes.
Fucking Ant-Man is horrible. This is worse than the
Ryan
fucking
losing their shit is the best part about
this
this.
is worse than the Johnny Blaze solo story. This is so bad.
That's only because you haven't heard what I've got next.
Oh,
This is not the worst story we covered this week.
oh my
But
god.
this is so dumb.
I know.
Yes.
It starts out really well. Like, it starts out as a really cool idea. Okay, because it's actually a reference on current pop culture. At that time, in the 60s, there was this whole beatnik movement that was going on in the States from the late 50s. Really was, it was a social issue. They'd already, had problems with the fact that, you did have these street poets and you did have these jazz musicians and things like that in these cafes. And they really didn't like this social movement that the younger people were into. Right? And I thought, this was going to be clever. It's not clever. It's fucking stupid.
Yes.
And just in case I haven't made my point strongly enough, it's fucking stupid. Let me say it to you in Italian. It's fucking stupid.
I'm so happy I gave you this one.
Screw
Yeah, that
you.
worked out better than we could have.
And the ant you wrote in on.
A core, not core.
That worked out so good. I'm glad we didn't stick you with Plant Man. That wouldn't have been nearly as funny.
Oh my goodness. This is why I gave you Strange Tales, Bill.
What a
Oh
dumbass
my God.
fucking way to finish a story. They could have gone so many places with this. Right? This would have been brilliant social
It's still
commentary.
going. It's still going.
I'm serious.
So anyway, now that Dan's done raging, that was a 1-star story.
Yeah.
That's generous.
Well, we can't go
I can't
lower,
rate
so.
0 unless I don't want it to think I've rated at all.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a 1.
Yeah. Well, this was rough. Speaking of rough.
I hate both of you, just so you know.
Speaking of rough, on we go. There's literally none of these characters appear again, so this is so inconsequential. Strange Tales number 113, The Coming of Plant Man, is next. Stan Lee and Joe Carter. Oh boy, yeah, you're not seeing that name before. I wonder why.
I don't think you see it again either.
Probably not.
This
I
might
wonder
actually
why.
be the only main Let's see.
Wow.
Yeah, Total Comics worked on as writer. Strange Tales 113.
This is his only comic, and no wonder why.
Even in the expanded issues, there is no other credits for him. They let him write one book because they were desperate, and then they're like, "Fuck it, you're terrible. Get out of here."
Okay, Plant
we want
Man?
the guy who came up with Trago.
Plant Man's got one serious pair of bollocks on him. Look at that cover.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, I see it too.
Oh my
Dick
God.
Ayers is on art here.
This is a Kirby special.
That's
Wow.
Sam Rosen is on letters. Actually, I think that's the covers by Dick Ayers too. I think.
I don't. Cover's not credited.
I'm not sure. It looks like a Dick Ayers torch, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, that's an Ayers.
Yeah, I thought so.
The face on Plant Man too.
He looks like the Shadow from the old serial comics.
Yeah, they actually make fun of him having that costume in the book.
Okay, fair enough.
But
He's got to see a doctor about that. There's no way that's not uncomfortable.
yeah,
Speaking of uncomfortable, let's get to the story.
yes. This story opens with Johnny late for his date with Doris Evans, whom apparently he's been dating for a while, despite the fact that this is the first we've ever heard the name.
Oh, do you really need to know that everything goes on in Johnny's life? It's a little rude and intrusive, don't you think?
Given that Doris becomes a somewhat important character for a while, yes.
Wow. Needy much? Just let them live.
She even turns up in Spider-Man.
Business. Let him live.
So you remember
Rude.
how I keep joking about Spider-Man trying to steal Johnny's girlfriend?
Uh-huh.
This is that girlfriend.
Oh. So she's going to go with the dork over the whiner? Man,
didn't
her
say he
choices are
succeeds.
really bad.
I didn't say he succeeds, Dan. Unless Johnny's the dork.
Johnny is a dork.
Anyway, Johnny flames on to get there quicker and shows up at her sort of mansion, although the family is not presented as terribly rich. They live in a mansion and have, like, servants. So, social class is a little confusing here, but either way, Johnny's way out of his league. And she is immediately annoyed that he showed up on fire. Because she wants him to just act like a normal guy.
Want to go out with my daughter and you're feeling hot, are you, you little shit? Get away from her.
Oh no, this is Doris that's not impressed. Her father is too busy yelling at the gardener to notice because the gardener is spending all his time paying attention
To his giant balls.
and also his invention that he thinks is going to let him control plants
Ooh.
instead of working. And so Doris's father fires him, and he leaves in a huff. And Johnny keeps trying to impress Doris with his fire powers and keeps failing at it, and she just tries to convince him to be a normal guy. And he laments all the other women that think he's awesome when he's on fire and how they're not going to be interested in him if he's normal, because Johnny is good at monogamy. And while all this is going on, we cut back over to the former gardener's house, where he's still working on his device in a thunderstorm, where it gets struck by lightning.
It's alive! It's alive!
Yes, and gains crazy powers that let it control plants.
Ooh, that's convenient.
And so he decides that this is going to let him get his revenge. So he dresses up as the Plant Man, which he calls himself, which consists in throwing on a green tinted shadow costume. And he goes back to Doris's house. Or, no, he goes to the jewelry store where Doris's father is a manager. You see what I mean about not really having the job to support his lifestyle.
Yeah.
And the plant forms itself into a key and unlocks the door, letting Plant Man in. And then he gets another plant to open the safe, because it sat next to the safe all the time, so it had seen what the combination was for the safe, and so it unlocks the safe, and he steals all the money in it, and plants Doris's father's watch. Still think Trago was the worst?
Yeah, so far.
Give me time.
Okay.
He plants Doris's watch at the crime scene. And so next day, the police show up to question Doris's father. And Johnny's driving by and sees them. So he goes in to see what's going on and hears that they suspect Doris's father of robbing the jewelry store. So Johnny promises to clear him as the Human Torch. And he flames on and starts flying around, and sees the Plant Man robbing another jewelry store. And so the Plant Man quickly zaps some plants to shake dew onto Johnny, extinguishing his flame, despite the fact that dew doesn't work like that. Apparently Stan, or what's his face that wrote this one, Joe Carter, thinks that dew is like part of a plant instead of just condensation that happens in the morning.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I hate you so much.
So bad.
And so anyway, by shaking a little bit of dew onto Johnny, I mean casts a fucking rain shower on him, extinguishing his flame.
So he's a little dewy-eyed.
And then, just a bit.
God.
And then Plant Man makes Roots come up and grab him by the leg, and a whole bunch of vines come and hold him to the ground while Plant Man runs away. And then half an hour later, Johnny finally gets himself free of the plants and flames, and actually he just goes home to sulk. And the next day, Plant Man goes out and takes over a park. He's added a green bandana to his disguise, so now he can actually stand with his face like up instead of tucked into his chin, so you don't see his face.
Wow.
And he takes over the local park and makes all the plants throw all the patrons out, including some of them ripping themselves out of the ground to throw themselves at people. And he turns the park into his evil enclave and issues a demand that if the government of New York doesn't give over all of New York to him, he's going to use the trees to murder everyone, because he's a bad Mark Wahlberg movie from 15 years ago. And then, so Johnny hears this on the news and flames on. And he flies to the park where he starts trying to fight with Plant Man. Plant Man's getting like whole trees to throw themselves at him. And Plant Man just whips out a bunch of seaweed that he got from somewhere and has the seaweed attack Johnny. And because it's seaweed, it's wet and it puts out his fire. And then the one good thing in this comic happens when Plant Man makes a bunch of oak trees just pelt the shit out of Johnny with acorns. And so he decides he's going to force Johnny into a giant vat of water and kill him that way. And so Johnny just makes a giant fireball and sends it up into the air so it starts burning all the moisture out of the area. Why he can't do this every single time he gets wet, I don't know. But anyway, the fireball's really hot and starts evaporating all the moisture. So the plants get worried about their safety and break Plant Man's device. And then Johnny goes to try to catch Plant Man. But Plant Man's hiding in a hollow tree and Johnny's too stupid to look all the way around the tree.
Does this story
and so he just gives
ever
up and
end?
leaves. 2 panels.
Oh, thank God.
And Johnny just gives up and leaves and goes back to Doris, who thanks him for clearing her father. And Johnny thinks he's finally gotten the torch over with her and flames on to fly away. And she's like, if only you'd just stop catching on fire, you'd be great. And he leaves disappointed because she still doesn't like the Human Torch. The end.
Yeah, she's much more interested in a little dork like Peter Parker.
Only in Parker's mind.
Oh, okay.
This was
Okay,
really
just
bad.
for the record, the synopsis of this story on the Marvel database is 7 lines. Right, 7.
Because nobody's read this shit.
It's 7 lines, literally, and it tells you
Nobody's
almost
read this
nothing.
fucking shit. We're the only mad people mad enough to read this shit.
Okay. First,
To be fair, 1,976 people read this.
okay, Bill.
wow, that's so many.
Unless they did what you did to the 5-pager.
We just ignore it.
Just marked it red to get it out of their box.
Okay, you know what? This was not as bad as the Ant-Man story. I'm sorry. They're close.
They are pretty close.
But the
I hated
Ant-Man
this one
story
more
is
than the
just-
Ant-Man story.
It's just so
But that-
dumb.
The art was better in the Ant-Man story. I think that's what pulled it over.
That's what brought
Because
it
not
up to
only
a
is
1.
this- Yeah, not only is this Dick Ayers, this is rushed Dick Ayers. It was another one.
Plant Man and his big balls. Ooh.
This was painful to read. It was way too long. Every single character in it was annoying. And yes, I know it was only 13 pages. It was still way too long. Every single character in it was annoying. And they didn't even give me a gratuitous Thing cameo to give some slight benefit to reading it.
Oh, so it's an episode of
I
She-Hulk.
disagree with that. It wasn't hilarious. No, I don't think I do.
Oh, kind of like the Peanuts.
Okay. I think you're giving too much credit to this. That was just an excuse to get the Shears struck by lightning so that they could start actually controlling plants. Fair enough. That was better than the actual comic. My big problem is Joe Carter is wordy, too. They took a lot of words to tell you what was happening in the panels that had pictures in them showing what was happening in them. I mean, I like Claremont, where he uses a lot of words to actually say something, but this was mostly just telling me what I was looking at in the panels. Yeah. I was just going to say, though, perhaps telling me what's happening in the panels was good in some of these, because Ayers was really rushing the art.
Yeah, well, that shows a lack of faith in the art.
Yeah. Or bad writing.
Or both.
Because at this point, they haven't quite figured out how to make a visual medium work.
You'd think they had enough practice at it.
They've only been doing superhero comics for a year at this point.
Well, and half a year was spent on this story.
Probably, yeah.
It's still not as bad as the fucking Ant-Man story. I'm sorry.
You know, I'm not going to argue with that because a case can be made that Ant-Man was worse. I found Strange Tales worse, but I can't really argue with hating the Ant-Man one more. See, you generally hate Ant-Man more than Strange Tales, and I generally hate Strange Tales more than Ant-Man.
Well, I didn't want to be the first to say.
Well, when in doubt, let's let the tiebreaker be the average rating. Strange Tales, 1.86. Ant-Man got 2.14. Yeah, people hated Strange Tales more overall.
Interesting.
But at this point, I mean, it's... Which turd is the shiniest?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would argue they are both boring and dull. Or dumb.
Yeah.
We had some good stuff in this week.
Yeah, there were a couple that weren't horrible. You know,
Yeah, we've got another key title debut next week.
Ramatat and his wife Ramatatas.
Kang is going to have words with you. This is the start of Tales of Asgard. That's what I was talking about with the another key title debuting. And someone that's dangerously close to becoming one of my favorite cheesy villains. Yeah, no, it's still 5 pages at this point. But this is when Strange becomes a permanent, well, semi-permanent fixture. He lasts as long as Strange Tales does. Yeah, there's nothing I absolutely hated next week. Little less bulky because we have 2 5-pagers. but there's also nothing that's as good as Avengers. It's just kind of an average week.
Yeah, but let's admit it. There's nowhere to go but up.
There really isn't. This week was
Oh, we lost Ryan.
probably our roughest clump of
There he is.
comics for quite a while.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
there was some crap in this, like unmitigated crap.
There was.
Right? It's just
I'm
wondering actually, because especially with the inclusion of the one-off on Ant-Man, or not Ant-Man, Solo Torch, if one of the writers, like one of the regular writers, got sick or something this month and they had to just, anyone that was willing to write something come out and do something.
That's certainly possible.
Because they had a lot of like uncommon writers.
Oh, look, there's a guy passed out in the alleyway. Let's get him to write it.
Couldn't be any worse.
You don't know. Could have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So next week should be pretty fun. Come back and join us. Tomorrow, of course, we already talked about it earlier, but we got the MCU Phase 1 discussion for our bonus episode of the month. So come listen to that. It should be really fun. And then next month will be our bonus episode for next month will be we're gonna make a list of Halloween / horror movies / just spooky movies.
Movies we recommend for Halloween.
Yeah, movies
Yeah.
we recommend for Halloween. We're gonna make a list up. So yeah, it should be fun. And if you're watching this, listening to this on YouTube, give a like, subscribe, comment, even share if you'd like to. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. If you're listening on Spotify, click that poll, what your favorite story was. And anyway, guys, we'll see you on the next episode, and peace out.
Have a good one, everyone.
See you later, guys.